All right, today we're going to dig into a really fascinating puzzle, one that's hiding in plain sight. It's a world-famous slogan that millions of us hear all the time, but it also happens to break a fundamental rule of English grammar.
Ah, the golden arches. I mean, come on, they're one of the most recognizable symbols on the entire planet. You see them, and you instantly know the brand, you know the food, and you almost definitely know the slogan that goes right along with it.
Yep, that's the one. It was launched way back in 2003, and I'm loving it just became this huge global phenomenon. It's so catchy, it's simple, and it is absolutely everywhere.
But here's where our mystery really begins. Because, for anyone who knows even a little bit about grammar, something about this phrase just feels kind of off. And it's not an accident. So why would a global giant like McDonald's deliberately choose a slogan that's technically wrong? Yeah, this wasn't some mistake. It was a totally deliberate choice. A multi-billion-dollar company doesn't just, slip up on its main global tagline. To really get the genius behind this error, we first need to become grammar detectives.
So to crack this case, we need to understand a really crucial difference in English verbs. It's all about the distinction between verbs that describe doing something and verbs that describe being something. Let's get our toolkit ready.
Okay, so it really just boils down to two types of verbs. On one side, you have your action verbs. These are your doing words. And on the other, you have stative verbs, which describe a state, a condition, or a feeling. So one is all about action, and the other is about, well, existence.
So here are some classic action verbs: eating, running, writing, conducting. These are all processes, right? They have a beginning and they have an end. You are actively doing them. Pretty simple stuff.
Now, let's compare that to these stative verbs: knowing, owning, believing, understanding. See, these aren't actions you perform, they're states. You don't actively know something for 5 minutes and then just stop. It's a continuous state of being.
So the crucial point here is that these two types of verbs, they just behave differently. Because stative verbs describe this constant state, they have a very, very specific rule about how you can use them.
And here's the main rule. You generally can't put a stative verb in a continuous tense, that ing form. We say I understand, which is a state. Saying I am understanding just sounds weird because understanding isn't a progressive activity like running is.
Stative verbs fall into a few different categories, but for our little investigation here, we only really need to focus on this one: preferences. This category includes words like, hate, and most importantly for us, the verb love.
Here's a perfect example. Mind is a preference verb. You'd say, if you don't mind me doing so. You wouldn't say, if you aren't minding me doing so. It just sounds wrong. It's a state of mind, not an action in progress. So far, the rules seem pretty clear. But now for the twist.
Of course, English just loves to have its exceptions. Some verbs can actually be both stative and action verbs, and they completely change their meaning depending on the context.
Okay, take the verb feel. If you say, I am feeling the sweater, that's an action. You're physically touching it. But saying the sweater feels soft describes its state, its permanent quality. It's the same word, but doing two totally different jobs.
Let's look at the word smell. If she is actively sniffing the perfume, she is smelling it. That's an action. But if we're talking about the quality of the perfume itself, we'd say it smells nice. That's its state. You see the difference?
Here's another fantastic example with the verb see. In the stative sense, I see what you mean really just means I understand. It's a state of your mind. But in the action sense, she is seeing Bob means she's dating him. It's an ongoing activity. The context here is everything. Okay, we've gathered all our clues. We've got stative verbs, we've got action verbs, and we've got those flexible ones in between. Now we can finally go back to our original mystery and crack the case of I'm loving it. So, according to all the rules we just went over, the verb love falls squarely into that preferences category of stative verbs. It describes a state of emotion. The grammatically correct phrase should be simply, I love it. So why on earth did they add the ing? Well, this is the brilliant part. First, that little mistake makes it so much more memorable. It breaks a pattern, and that catches your ear. Second, it creates immediacy. I'm loving it suggests you are actively enjoying that Big Mac right now. It's dynamic. It's in the moment. And third, it sounds conversational. It sounds modern. It sounds like how people actually talk.
So ultimately, they knew the rule, and they broke it on purpose. They turned a simple statement of preference into an active, immediate, and totally relatable experience. It was a calculated risk, for sure, but man, did it pay off.
And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? By understanding the rules, you gain the power to break them effectively. And that's not just true in marketing. It's true in art, in innovation, and in life. So the next time you see something that seems a little wrong, maybe just ask yourself, is that a mistake or is it genius?